Welcome back to the Maxwell DNA Series 2.0. Today's topic is Allow Room for Faith, and our special guest is Ray. Ray is a speaker, teacher, writer, and coach with the mission to inspire and empower people to be good at what they do and great at who they are. He has started various programs and nonprofit organizations and is also a Maxwell Leadership Team member. I'm very excited for today's episode, so let's dive in.
Ray, welcome to the Maxwell DNA video series. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, my friend. I'm excited to be here with you and with our listeners today.
This is an honor. This is the second video series on the Maxwell DNA acronym. So we're very honored to have you on board, and it has been a wonderful journey over the last few weeks to have spoken to so many different coaches and listening to them, how they live day in and day out the values of the Maxwell DNA acronym. And today is your turn. We're going to talk about allow room for faith. And but before we begin, before we dive into the topic, for those who do not know who you are, please tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, where you are, and so on and so forth.
Great. Well, it's good to be here with you and good to be able to share that. So I live in the United States, even though I did live in Germany for 2 years because I have a military background.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I started out. That's where I started out in leadership in the military background. And then in the healthcare setting, working as a nurse and as a pre-med student.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like to tell people God and I wrestled and he won, and I took a different course of action career-wise. So I continue to work with leaders in business as far as speaking and training.
Right.
And then also became a church planter and international travel and developed leaders and faith leaders around the world. In Maxwell organization, I serve in the enterprise on our Maxwell team side. I serve as the faculty president, being able to lead and empower our faculties on the different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have the privilege of being able to serve in Equip, which is our faith-based nonprofit arm of the Maxwell enterprise,
Mm-hmm.
and lead that program where we help empower churches and believers and other people. So I get to work in a lot of different settings like that. I live in South Carolina. I've been married to my wife, Teresa, for 41 years. We have 2 grown children and their spouses, and then have 8 grandchildren. So
Wow.
that's my life. I love the life that I live and the life that I get to live. And I'm just a blessed man and really excited to be able to be out here and share. And I was the one that was involved in helping put together what would be the Maxwell DNA, the acrostic and the definitions and all of the things. I was original part of a few of us that put that together to try to articulate what John teaches in his philosophy into a set of values for us. So I had the privilege of being able to put this all together.
My goodness, I did not know that. So this is a very nice surprise for me because I didn't know that. So, this is even better than I expected. So this is great. Well, so much material, so so little time, but we'll try to cover as much as possible. But you just throw me a curve with that one right there.
That's
with
right. That's good.
But tell me a little bit about that. I mean, because I think acronyms is a wonderful tool to teach, and to get ideas across in a very easy way.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that, and of course the values, very easy to understand. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, how did it came about? I mean, how did it happen?
Sure. Well, when we had first started and we'd been going for a few years in the Maxwell team, and we kept saying, JMT DNA. Back then we were called John Maxwell Team, which was JMT.
Hmm.
And we would say JMT DNA, and we would talk about our culture because it was really important.
Hmm.
And then John, from the very first IMC, did a lesson called Culture Lesson, where he talks about what is the culture and DNA of a team member.
Hmm.
And so he would teach on that. And so we would say JMT DNA and culture, but it had never been defined.
Hmm.
So what we started to do, and Deb and Gino kind of really started leading the effort of let's articulate that. Let's
Hmm.
articulate it in a way that our team can understand it, that they can be able to know what it means and have definition to it, uh, and so that we would be able to really think into not just what we do as speakers, coaches, and trainers, but who we are, what brings us together differently. And really what brings us together differently as a team is the culture that we share and the
Right.
values that we share.
Right.
So it's like finding your tribe, right? It's like finding your people. And the
Hmm.
reason is not because we do something differently than other organizations. There's a lot of people out there doing coaching and training and speaking. But
Right.
for us, the uniqueness is our culture and our DNA.
Hmm.
And so I had a saying I introduced into the team: let's be good at what we do, but great at who we are.
Hmm.
Let's be good at what we do, but great at who we are, because I believe that's what sets us apart.
Hmm.
And so we don't want to just be an organization that helps people to be good. We want you to be good speakers, coaches, and trainers, but we want you to be great people, because that's what's going to make a difference in the world. And so we said, okay, what does that look like to be not
Hmm.
to do John Maxwell stuff, but to be a Maxwell team member? And so then we began. Deb asked me to serve on that committee, and a couple of other people to bring ideas together.
Hmm.
And I love wordsmithing. I love putting things together. So I kind of led some of the charge on the different things like that. We brought
Right.
it together. We said, hey, I think John Maxwell and what he teaches in his culture lesson fits into an acrostic of Maxwell DNA.
Right.
And so we married the two up and defined those to give our team members a living, breathing picture and definition of what it looks like to be, not
Hmm.
just to do, but to be a Maxwell team member. And so that's how it come to be, and we've been using it ever since.
This is awesome because I mean that's just the great concept, and it hits right home because who we are, right? Not just what we do, and which is of course we should aspire to do our best always,
Mhm.
but who we are, and that's why I love the idea of the Maxwell DNA. And this is, as you know, this is our second series,
Right.
and we love it. Just to hear other coaches around the world, and of course we are based here in Germany, and we are trying to lift, to get off the ground the Maxwell Leadership platform here in the German speaking region. So this is a great way to showcase what John Maxwell, what Maxwell Leadership is all about, who we are, what we do. So this is
Yeah.
awesome.
One of the things that we've seen, Armando, is that there are a lot of opportunities out there to be trained as a coach, as a speaker. I
Right.
mean, the opportunities for major programs like ours, or people can search the internet. You can
Mm-hmm.
become a life coach now for $29. I
Yeah,
I
it
I,
was.
I tell people, I say, listen, if your coaching certification costs you less than you charge people to coach them, it's probably not the best certification.
That's right.
So there's a lot out there. But here's what we found: we found that most of the people that connect to us are not just people who want training and certification, they're people who want a tribe.
Right.
They don't just want training, they want a tribe.
That's right.
They want a group of people who think like them, feel like them, help one another, build up one another, strengthen one another, share ideas with one another, collaborate together on partnerships. And so for us, that's why we said, culture is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And our culture values are so important because they help us to know if we're aligned to the right people
Right.
at the right time for the right things.
And this is why it's so important to speak about this particular value. I think,
Mhm.
I mean, we've been through all of the acronym over the last few weeks, and this is the
Mhm.
last one on the acronym.
Mhm.
Allow room for faith. That's an interesting value when it comes to a coaching speaking platform. I mean, how did it come
Yeah,
about? Why is this value? I mean, I know why, but tell us. I
sure.
mean, since you were at the core, when getting the out of off the ground, why allow room for faith?
Well, because again, if it goes back to being good at what you do, but being great at who you are,
Mm,
we realize that for many people, faith is not something they do, right?
mm,
There are practices, there are things, right, that we do related to our faith. But faith is because of who we are. We're
mhm,
all human beings, and part of every human being that everybody would agree. A science agrees with this, philosophy agrees with this, faith agrees with this, that we're a being and we have a spiritual dimension to us.
mhm,
And because we're a being that has a spiritual dimension to us, faith is the connection to everything spiritual
mhm,
and everything in the spirit. And so we realized that our culture had to include a dimension that embraced up front, didn't define it, but embraced up front that we are spiritual people. And that as spiritual people, one of the uniquenesses is we allow room for faith. We realize that there are things greater than us
mhm,
working in us and through us.
mhm,
And that we needed to be able to allow for that dimension if we were going to be successful. If we were going to be successful, we all realize we don't do this on our own. Success is not just from me. And so John is a person of faith.
mhm,
He's never hid that. He's very open about that. And so he's of the Christian faith. I'm of the Christian faith. Many of our team members are of the Christian faith, but not everyone is.
mhm,
So our challenge was, how do we define it in a way that says it's okay for you to be a person of faith and be in this team? You don't have to avoid that conversation.
mhm,
You don't have to avoid that, living that out in your life. If it's authentic to who you are, we want you to live that out. And so we want to allow room for that in our work, in our interaction, in every part about us. So we decided that if it is a part of, John Maxwell, if it is a part of so many of us, and if we all know that there's a spiritual dimension to our being, then we should be, upfront and bold without defining it a certain way or saying you have to do this or believe this or be this, but to be able to encourage all of our team members, allow room for faith. And here is a place you do not have to hide your faith. You
mhm.
can live it out often with authenticity, whether you have faith or no faith. John
Right.
likes to say it like this, and I love it. He says, it's okay if you don't believe in God. God still believes in you. And so that's what we believe here. We
Right.
we believe that there are some people here that believe in God and there's some people that don't, but we believe that God believes in everyone. And so we're allowing room for faith, which just means we give, as we've defined it, we give time, we give space, and we give opportunity
Mhm.
for divine influence and action in us and through us.
Yeah,
And we believe that.
yeah, very well said. When did the Maxwell DNA acronym came to be? How many years ago?
So 2015 and 2016 is when we were putting it together. So
Okay.
2016 is when we really established it and introduced it to the tribe.
Right, right. How has this particular value, has been received since it was launched to the world? I mean, is that do some people find it discouraging? Do some people find it refreshing? What can you tell us about that?
So yeah, it's been very well embraced. We feel like people understand it and people
Mm,
get it, and particularly when they start interacting with us, they realize, this is not an evangelistic event. This is not a Christian funny, so to speak.
mhm,
Uh, I mean, it's company where we have, faith-based values, but it's not a company where we're going to push those values on anyone. So I think it's embraced because of this. It's
Mhm.
embraced because it's not about religion, it's about respect. It's
Right.
about respect. It's about we're respecting this dimension. We're
Mhm.
not religiousizing this. In other words, that it has to be a certain thing. So people respect that because it is respected and they are respected. We respect people from all backgrounds. We
Mhm.
respect people from all different faith persuasions. And part of that respect is that we respect the individual and the authenticity of their faith and that lived out. So I think because of that, it's been very, very well embraced because again, it's allow room for. We
Mhm.
allow room for. We don't make it have to be a certain way.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it gives room for people to be very open about their faith and have faith conversations because of their relationship with one another. And so we've honestly, Armando, we've had very, very, very few problems ever. And of the problems usually that we had, once we talked it out, then the people understood it. They had an
Mhm.
assumption about something, they understood it, and they were just totally respectful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is very important because, as you know, we live probably in a very postmodern, secular kind of
Yeah.
Europe, and it's important to be very clear about what this value mean because I mean,
Yes.
John is very transparent. I mean, in all of his books, how many books
Yes.
has he written? Over 80 or something like that, right?
Yeah, the 87, and then if you count all of the smaller books that came from those major books, there's,
Right.
like I think 120 or something like that.
Right. So his faith is very. I mean, he's very transparent. He's very open about
Yes.
that, and of course that was how I came to know John and his material. You know, I am also a pastor, and I went to college in the States, and one of the first books I read was Falling Forward,
Yeah.
and then well the list is long, but I think this is very important because faith is part of life, and I love just the way you express that, and on the contrary, it's not off-putting, but very refreshing and very helpful for
Mhm.
everyone. Um, how do you implement this value in your work, in your ministry, in your daily life, in your family?
Yeah. So, great question. So for me, it's authentic to who I am.
Okay.
I have been a believer since I was a young adult, and so I'm a follower of Jesus. That's my faith and the faith that I lean into. I believe that Jesus, his teaching, his life, his example, his death, burial, and resurrection are all things that speak to me as being very real and as being an answer to what the needs of my heart and the needs of my life are. And so, as a part of that, uh, there's a thing when Jesus was talking to his disciples. He said this. He told them, "Apart from me, you can do nothing."
Hmm.
And he let them know two things: you're always going to need me, but he said the second thing is, I'm always going to be there for you.
Hmm.
And so those two things bring great comfort to me. So I implement allow room for faith that way,
Right.
that I need to allow room for the divine things to operate in my life
Hmm.
that are for what I cannot do. I can't
Hmm.
make happen. I can't open doors. I can't make someone make a decision about whether or not I'm able to serve them or whether or
Hmm.
not they're a client.
Hmm.
Um, I can't know people on my own. So that there's a dimension to me that I allow room for faith because I believe that God wants to actively be involved in my success.
Hmm.
He wants to actively be involved in my life. And so if I'll make room for that, he'll be able to do things,
Hmm.
cause things to happen, or lead me in ways that my natural part,
Hmm.
my mind, my feelings, my knowledge, my expertise couldn't do or couldn't
Hmm.
open those doors. So that's the way that I live it out off, authentically. I
Hmm.
think the other way for me is that it brings I allow room for it to bring peace to my life.
Hmm.
Peace when things aren't working exactly the way that I
Hmm.
want them to work. They're
Right.
not working exactly the way that I hope they would work,
Hmm.
but it brings great peace to me during good times and bad times.
Hmm.
And so I love that I'm a part of a team and I'm in a place where I can work professionally
Hmm.
and business wise, where I can allow room for that faith and
Hmm.
others respect that.
Hmm.
And it's okay.
Right. Oh, that's just so beautiful. At the beginning, you mentioned that, and I hear that again, the aspect of community is very
Mhm.
important. We are a part of a bigger community. How many thousands of coaches around the world?
We just went over 50,000.
Wow, 50,000
50,000.
around the
Yes.
world and counting, right? And
And
counting.
counting.
And but then again, in these times, how important is that aspect? And I like the way you said it. Whether people are believers in Christian believers or X Y, the aspect of faith and it's refreshing.
And I like the practicality of it. John will tell you that many of his leadership principles that he writes in books he got from the Bible. Matter of fact, there's a John Maxwell Leadership Bible
Hmm.
where John has put leadership
Yes.
commentary in there, so you can learn about leadership and then it connects it to the spiritual values. And so I like that because so many of these values are connected to spiritual things. And so I realize, well, then I need a spiritual dimension for
Right.
that principle to actually be able to operate at its fullest.
Right. Um, we have a few minutes left, Ray, but
Okay.
I would like you to talk about a little bit about Equip. I know what Equip
Okay.
is, and it was a blessing to me many, many years ago. I used to get
Sure.
the old cassettes.
Yes.
What was that? The monthly cassettes, right? With a
Uh
little
huh.
workbook.
Enjoy Club. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I loved it. It was from at the beginning of my time here in Germany. It gave me strength. It gave me courage. It helped me expand my vision. So now I know who to thank. Thank you very much for that.
Right.
That's a few years ago, but I love it. But tell our audience what is Equip.
Great. So we have two nonprofit arms that are a part of Maxwell overall. One is called the Maxwell Leadership Foundation, the other is called Equip.
Hmm.
Maxwell Leadership Foundation focuses on all of our outreach that is not faith based.
Hmm.
Equip is our faith based component.
Hmm.
So John and his brother Larry was is a very successful businessman,
Hmm.
started an organization called Equip, a faith-based arm, to be able to empower Christian leaders in the church to be able to be better leaders and to take that leadership outside of the church.
Hmm.
And so the first project we did was called Million Leader Mandate.
Yeah.
We trained 6 million leaders in every nation of the world. And then when that came to a close, and we started to become more of a transformation organization, not just a training organization.
Hmm.
We developed a tool in Equip. John started it, and then others of us have been involved in putting it together. That we created a 7-session leadership and personal growth journey
Hmm.
that we give to people that we train as facilitators. We give them this for free, and
Hmm.
then they're able to go into the marketplace and they're able to do roundtables
Right.
with people in the marketplace to help them with leadership values related to success.
Hmm.
And in one of those sessions, John shares his faith and why his faith is important to him
Hmm.
and in one of those sessions.
Hmm.
And so it's a tool that we equip churches, we equip believers, faith based business leaders and entrepreneurs with so that they can go out and they can use that as another way
Hmm.
to add value and to be salt and light
Hmm.
out in the world. And so that's what we do in Equip. And that's the joy. That tool, Beyond Success, is what I have the joy of leading our team around the world in 70 nations. We're doing it right now and continuing to grow
Wow.
every day.
Wow. Awesome. That's just great. So for our audience, I will include all of Ray's contact information, all relevant links in the description box. So if you want to drop him a note, if you want to visit the web page, what else do you have, Ray? What else? Web page?
Yeah, so we have we have a web page that they can connect to. That's probably where they can connect. You can put my email address in there.
Mhm.
People could connect, one-on-one if there's a certain area or thing that, that we can help them with.
Awesome. So please check it out and write him a note if you want to know more about Equip and everything else that Ray does. Ray, as you know, we are we are getting off the ground this Maxwell leadership platform in the German-speaking world, and of course, at the beginning, we don't have enough guests, German-speaking guests, but it's growing, and we are very grateful for that. And many more are curious. Many more are following our different social media platforms, our YouTube channel. Please, for our audience, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. That's a little help. That always help. But many people are maybe like thinking about that, right? Maybe that they are already coaches, and maybe they are looking for a community, as you mentioned at the beginning, or maybe they just want to expand their portfolio, or be better leaders, and be more, to serve better in their workplace, and so on and so forth. Or maybe they are thinking about becoming a coach. What can you tell them? Why should they consider becoming or getting a John Maxwell certification, a Maxwell leadership certification?
First of all, I think it's an opportunity when you become a part of Maxwell Leadership as a speaker, coach, and trainer. You become a part of the largest leadership training organization in the world, and so it's one of the most trusted brands and names and materials. We do the corporate training for Chick-fil-A, Microsoft around the world, Boeing, many companies that people know of every day. Their leaders are living off of and operating on the materials that we share. Now, the powerful part of being a coach, a speaker, trainer, is that then you become licensed to use all of those same materials that they're using and learning from. But the difference is you can be the one to make the contracts. You can be the one to make the connections. You can be the one to go out there and add the value. So that's the first thing. You become a part of this largest leadership training organization in the world. I think the second part of it is you become a part of a community of like-minded people that believe in one another's success. So for instance, those that are in Germany that are helping start this, James leading it, yourself, others, I know all of you, right? We know you. You're a part of our family. We know you. You're trusted. You're there for a reason. You're helping build this for a reason. So they're people that you can believe in what they're saying, not just what they're selling. And I think that becomes really important. And when they become a part of the team, you get ongoing forever support. So like we have all the recordings we've ever recorded. And so you buy in one time, but it's for a lifetime. That's what I love about it. It's one time for a lifetime. Right. And so while we have different opportunities, you can, get different certifications or buy into your certification as speaker, coach, and trainer. It's a lifetime, and we're going to continue to add to you and make you better over a lifetime. And so for me, those were things that were really important. And I think that's the reason, or some of the key reasons, why people would want to be with us and involved in us. And here's the last thing I'll say about that is anybody that is joining right now in Germany gets to be a part of a first time ever being a pioneer of something that is going to transform a country and a region and set it on the direction for its future. And few people get that opportunity in life. And so we're giving, through the German platform, we're giving people an opportunity to be a part of making that difference.
Ray, thank you. Thank you very much. That was great. For our audience, if you want to know more about the events that we are organizing here in the German region, webinars, events, International Maxwell Conference in Paris, France in October. So if you want to find out more about that and offers and events, just visit us. I will include those links in the description box in this video. so you can come by and say hello and get more information and follow us, so you will be up to date with everything we are doing. And as you said, Ray, I mean, we are thinking 2025. So we are really, really excited. We are working hard so that becomes a reality. So we are really excited about that. Ray, well, thank you very much. It was a wonderful talk. I mean, time flew by really quick. I really enjoyed it. But before we depart, before we say goodbye for today, one last word. I mean, what can you tell our audience that will make their day, that they will be encouraged going into the week, going into their daily lives, family, work, business, and so on and so forth?
Sure. Well, I'd leave them with a little thought. My dad, when we grew up, the only way we heated our house was through a fireplace. And so when my dad would leave for work, I was the oldest, and he would tell me, he'd call me Raymond. He said, Raymond, make sure you keep a log on that fire. Keep that fire burning. Don't let it go out. Mm-hmm. And I learned a valuable life principle, and it's this: it's easier to stir a fire than it is to have to start a fire all over. Keep a fire stirred. I love about the Maxwell leadership is it always keeps the fire stirring. Yes. So I would encourage the people out there in your personal growth, in your daily life, in your faith, in whatever it is, your family or whatever it is, keep stirring that fire. And one of the great ways to keep it stirred is through friendships and relationships like this and opportunities like this. So I just want to leave them with that thought. Keep the fire stirred so you don't have to start it all over.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Ray. Hopefully we'll repeat someday, this interview. We can talk about some other subjects, and we certainly appreciate your time. And our audience, until the next time, we wish you a successful and blessed day. Bye.